Oh, oh God. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Gapester here. This is the normal healer guide for Norushen against the Amalgam of Corruption. Feel free to click on the annotations on screen to check out all the other guides and videos for this fight. And let's do this. So the first thing to be aware of is that the damage from this fight is extremely high. If at all possible, if you're just progressing on this fight, you may want to use 3 healers unless you have exceptional healers or you overgear the fight like we do here. The main issue is that there's constant damage to the raid in the normal realm in the form of frost damage every 3 seconds. This is unavoidable and it occurs the entire fight. It starts at 75,000 frost damage per tick, and by the end of the fight it scales up to around 180,000 every 3 seconds. The damage from this frost is based on the amount of health that the amalgam has lost. So as the fight progresses and he loses health, the damage increases. So in the last 40-30% of his health, the damage is going to be very severe, and you're going to need a lot of healing and raid cooldowns to survive that. In addition, there's a lot of massive AE damage when a manifestation dies on the outside realm. And there are a number of spawns. At the bare minimum, you will see 10 of these throughout the fight. And this is assuming that you use 3 healers, 2 tanks, so you have 5 DPS, which will spawn 1 manifestation each time they do a trial, and then you'll get 5 extra ones at 50%, 40%, 30%, and so on the amalgam itself. When these die, they leave behind a corruption orb on the ground, and while that orb is on the ground, it will deal massive raid damage to the entire raid. So it's important that your raid has a plan to handle these and pick them up quickly so that they don't deal damage that the healers can't deal with. The last somewhat dangerous damaging effect is not nearly as bad as those previously mentioned, but it's more single target damage, and this is from the Essence of Corruption spawns. When these appear, they will start to cast bolts at the amalgam, and if any player is standing between the essence and the amalgam, they will instead soak up the bolt and take the damage. This is actually preferred because it prevents a stacking debuff from applying to the amalgam that increases the damage it does for 15 seconds. So while it adds more healing requirement, it actually helps you in the long run because he won't do as much AA damage through his frost and whatnot. That said, these bolts do a significant amount of damage. So again, watch to keep people stacked up, or rather topped up in health for that reason. So the main mechanic for this fight is corruption. Everyone in the raid starts with 75 corruption. And you'll see there at the start, I clicked on this purifying light orb, which is a golden orb on the side of the room. Upon clicking on it, I've entered this trial realm. By myself, I'm forced to deal with this greater corruption ad. And this is the trial for the healer. So your basic goal is to heal the 3 NPCs along with yourself and help them defeat this greater corruption spawn. As soon as it dies, your trial will end and you will leave the realm back to the normal realm with the raid, and your corruption will be cleansed. Once your corruption is cleansed, you're at 0 corruption and you become purified, which means you do 30% more healing until you gain corruption from some source in the future. But otherwise, you'll have 30% extra healing for the remainder of the fight, which is awesome. So, the actual trial itself is pretty... The only thing you really need to be aware of is that if you can do extra DPS while keeping yourself and the NPCs alive, the trial will end faster, and that is good for the raid, because as soon as you exit the trial, someone else can come in, use the orb that will reappear that you already used, and they can do their trial. And the faster everyone gets through their trials, the better for the raid overall. The other thing to watch for is lingering corruption, which was just cast on me there. This is basically a 10-second debuff, and you have to dispel it off yourself or the NPC. If you do not dispel it, it does massive damage, so make sure you watch for that. Otherwise, there's just a laugh effect that he'll use that does damage to everyone, and you just want to keep everyone topped off pretty much. So healers like Mistweaver monks like myself that can do damage and healing at the same time will be able to get through that trial very quickly. So that covers everything really for the healer perspective. Just keep in mind those major heal requirements for the abilities I talked about before, and then handle your trial properly when it's your turn to do so, and then you should be good to go. So good luck, and thanks for watching.